Mason, been through your injury before. You're literally not supposed to be doing what you're doing. How are you playing football right now?
I don't know. A lot of hard work, willpower, a great supporting staff behind me. You know, I would not be here without the support of the trainers. Mikey Fanning was the person handling my bicep, and not to mention all the other trainers in there helping me along with little stuff I need. And the strength staff did a phenomenal job keeping my body ready and available to go when I was ready.
What was your day-to-day like? I mean, like, again, going through something like this, I was told like 4 months is like almost the best case scenario, and you're playing football in 3 months.
Yeah. So my day-to-day kind of looked like I would just come here, facility, try my best to be locked in for meetings and do what I can to help those guys get locked in if I have any little bit of information. You know, in the beginning when I wasn't able to do much, I would stay out at practice and kind of help those guys with the footwork and stuff, and like maybe they needed help on a certain ID or something like that, and kind of talking them through it. And then as I progressed to where I could do more, then I went to the training room during practice and I would get my rehab in. And then after that, we would just do our day-to-day from football.
I mean, Coach announced that you're out for the season. I mean, when did it kind of switch so you might actually be able to try to get back?
You know, there was a point, I forget, I think it was probably close to the Nevada game, where my numbers were like skyrocketing for my testing. And we kind of thought, we were looking at each other, we were like, this is kind of a possibility. If I can get to a certain amount of deficit between my right arm and my left arm, they were comfortable with me being out there and kind of work my way back into everything.
Before that, had it ever crossed your mind that you could be back this season when it was announced the season ending, where you kind of like, no, I'm going to come back?
I mean, I kind of had that thought of like, all right, they told me I'm kind of done for the season, but I'm going to do whatever it takes to kind of get my body right. And if there is a possibility, because I felt in like deep down in my heart, I felt like I was coming along really quickly and I thought it was going to be a possibility. So I was just doing whatever I can to get back out there.
What's it like putting in all that work, you know, having that goal and not knowing whether or not you will be able to get back?
You know, it's kind of what's expected. I feel like, you know, if you're injured, you kind of have no choice. You can't play football. You have to keep going. You can't, if you stop and give up, then that's no good for nobody.
This looks like, I mean, from the outside, like maybe a simple decision, but you're potentially forfeiting the whole year of eligibility by doing what you're doing for a few games. How much thought did you give that, and why did you commit to doing what you're doing?
I'm gonna be completely honest, there wasn't a lot of thought behind it. They told me there was an opportunity to come back and I wanted to come back. I put myself into a good position and I felt like with how special this team is, I would do anything for them. So I wanted to, no matter what, get back out there for them.
So with the you're waking up early, you go into practices, you go through everything you have to go through. How easy is it to one day just wake up and be like, you know what, I'm done for the year? Would it be easy just to do that? And how tough is it to just keep on going week after week after week?
It's super easy to do that. I mean, hard things are never easy. I mean, if you wanted to come back from anything like this, you would have to work hard for it. And it wasn't always just me. I had people around me, especially Roger sitting over there. He was super motivating because we were kind of in the same boat. We had lots of talks, hanging out together, watching the games, and helped push each other through this injury. And you know, he got back before me, but I was way more fired up when he was back out there than when I got back, honestly.
Is it realistic, Mason, to expect, and maybe you can speak for Roger too, I don't know if you want to, but is it realistic to think that maybe you and Roger can get 100% at some point this season or close to it? Health?
I mean, for sure. I mean, there's no like stopping us. It's only, I think the biggest thing with an injury is how much you tell yourself it hurts. Like, it's gonna hurt a little bit, but I mean, if you want it that bad, you can push through anything.
With how long of a road it was to get back, what was the feeling like actually taking the field and playing snaps on Friday?
It was surreal. It was so awesome being out there with everybody. I kind of just took a deep breath, and before the game, I'm normally like got my pregame jitters, a little bit of nerves, but I just felt this sense of like happiness and just joy to be back out there with the guys, and not a sense of worry or anything like that about each play. I knew I was going to do my job, whether it was good or bad. I was going to do whatever it took.
So to get the first game under your belt, then I guess limited action. How much more full go are you, and is the rust worked off, for Friday?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like being able to work out my legs, being able to keep myself running, throughout this injury has put me in a good position to where I could be full go. I don't necessarily know what the plan is, but I think I personally feel like I'm going to give my best every single play. It might not be the best, but I'm going to try my best for sure.
What was the most challenging thing in your first game back out on the field?
I think the most challenging thing for me was probably, the speed. It's a quick game. I think once you're sitting for so long, it definitely gets a little quicker. I think that was a really good game for me to be back, especially before such a big game in the Mountain West Championship, and probably the most important game that's ever been played in Idaho and on the Blue. I think it's really important for me to be out there.
Coaches praised the way both you and Roger, kind of coached up the other guys that came in when you guys were injured. How cool was it to watch, even through all that injury, the offensive line still, do its job?
It was awesome. Being with those guys like Zach and Jason and Jake and TK and everybody who stepped up and was playing in for us. I think being able to watch them grow game to game and hear how they operate, because that was the biggest difference I felt like going into the season. Was there was a big difference in how each group operated, and once they kind of got those reps underneath themselves, they're like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be successful, so we need to do this every single play. It was really cool.
For you, with that surgery, I mean, you can just feel in your hand. Like, did you, and when were you actually able to start like lifting any type of real weight again?
Yeah, I still don't have too much feeling in the back of this hand right here. But I mean, I don't necessarily remember when I could start lifting. It was probably about, I want to say a month and a half in, maybe a little bit earlier. I can't necessarily remember just because I feel like it's been so long, just because I've been trying to do it every single day.
So I mean, like comparatively, like how strong is your arm right now?
So during the time of me being injured, I was able to do a lot with my right arm. So my right arm got really, really strong. So the left arm is really strong, but comparatively to my right arm, it's still a little bit of a deficit. But I'd say before I got injured, it's probably the same as what it was to my right arm, yeah.
Do you remember the date or how long after the injury you had the surgery? Exactly?
So Mikey told me that it was, I think, 90 days, I think, on Wednesday last week, after the surgery.
Gotcha. And it was the shoulder?
No, it was the bicep.
Bicep.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And were you able to run and were you able to keep in shape that way the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, football shape's obviously kind of
I
different.
understand.
It's so difficult to stay in football shape, but I was trying my hardest. Coach Reed was out there running with me every single day. It was trying my hardest to stay in shape.
With the importance of this game on Friday, you kind of touched on it, but just so much on the line for both teams, sellout crowd, championship on the Blue. I mean, just what's your thought on this game?
It's awesome. It's awesome that we have this opportunity. It's awesome that the team worked so hard to get here. I think I'm blessed to be in a position to where I can come back and have an impact on this game. It's going to be super important. That's why it's a sellout. Everyone's going to be here. I'm just excited to get back out there with the guys, pretty much.
3 games against UNLV in the last 12 months kind of has turned this rivalry into something that it never really was before. How much has it grown over the last year?
I think it's really cool. It's a really big testament to them and what they're doing over there. I think they've done a fantastic job of kind of turning things around from where they were before. I think that they've got great players over there. They've got an All-American linebacker. Their stud is awesome. They got a safety that's awesome. All their players over there on defense are awesome. I haven't been able to pay too much attention to the offense, but I think they've got a phenomenal team, and I think it's going to be great for us going forward.
How did it happen, by the way?
How did what happened? The injury?
Your injury. Like it was like the 63rd play of a 70-play game? Or
Yeah, it was the 63rd play. It was just a normal play. I mean, that's kind of how injuries go. It wasn't anything too crazy. It was just pass pro, and the guy crossed my face, and I was holding on to him, and I just felt my arm kind of pop. And I was like, immediately, I would go like this, and I tapped my head. I was like, oh, I got to sub. I'm looking at my trainers in the eye. They're like, the play is still going on, so I can't. So, yeah.
I mean, I kind of say this like jokingly, but like, was it painful?
Honestly, it wasn't. I didn't even notice the pain. I was more kind of bummed out for myself that I got injured, but I mean, It didn't hurt too bad, no.
When